But first, an acting minister in the presidency and an acting minister of health who at the same time is presiding over the health department. Not to mention the squabbles of our security cluster ministers over what an insurrection actually entails. And then there's the criticism over the handling of the unrest. Well, is it time the president gave this cabinet of contradiction a shake-up? And would a reshuffle improve the ANC's chances come local elections? Well, here to unpack it is Wits University political analyst William Gumede. Prof. Gumede, thank you always for making time for us. There have been calls for a reshuffle. Is it time?
Good morning. Yes, after one of the biggest crises, certainly, or biggest incidents of violence since the end of apartheid, somebody has to take accountability for it. And I think it'll be very important that at least that those people, cabinet ministers in the security cluster, the police minister, the state security minister, and the defense minister, they should be reshuffled, at the least.
The problem is, I suppose, Prof, is that you need loyalty from your security cluster. And I wonder if the reason the president didn't go into KZN earlier than he did is because he wasn't sure whether he had that loyalty from his security team.
No, absolutely. It does appear that it could be one of the reasons, or that he could have gotten, wrong information, or information that they could have told him, everything is going well down on the ground, everything is under control. And of course, it wasn't under control. Now, you can't preside, over economic reconstruction, and now we have to rebuild trust in the country, and we have to get investor confidence back, when you have people inside your cabinet who actually either undermine you or are very unenthusiastic, or just, openly don't support you.
Will a reshuffle potentially leave Ramaphosa more isolated?
I mean, I guess the difficulty for him, when he thinks about reshuffling is, local government elections coming, the party is deeply divided, his cabinet is very divided, so he may think, well, actually, maybe, sit tight with individuals, around him. I would think that's actually the wrong approach. I mean, this is the moment now, to make all of the moves. I mean, there's also, we've seen vacancies really, or acting people in health. I mean, you can't have that. We've got a COVID crisis. Also, it's essentially what Ramaphosa called two battlefronts: the COVID and now, recovering from the unrest. He really needs quality people there. I mean, he could even go much more extreme because we're still in a state of disaster. So I think under the state of disaster, it is possible even to bring in outsiders into your cabinet, people who are not members of parliament. I don't think it's impossible, to bring in fresh blood, to bring the talent in, because he sits there. We've got a biggest crisis of our generation that, nothing that we've ever seen in the last 100 years. He doesn't have the people. He doesn't have the person power to help him out. And sadly also, the people also are not in the wider ANC either. It needs to go outside.
But, there's the issue then of your ministers needing, to be MPs and how many seats are vacant at the time. One of the issues is we know that Cyril Ramaphosa is not a reactive president. He sits and waits and watches. But we do have a pandemic and an acting health minister. Surely that's something that needs to be sorted out pretty soon.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm really baffled. Why hasn't he brought in someone, expertise in the health department? I think also after this crisis, the last couple of weeks, I think the ANC's got a knock. He has to do something desperate, bring in the capabilities to try to save the ANC if he really wants to do that. Without action now, the ANC will just bleed more votes also.
All right, that's our political analyst there from Wits, Prof. William Gumede, on whether there should be a cabinet reshuffle. His analysis is absolutely. Well,